we're gonna play a little bit of a word association. I'm gonna say the show. If something comes to mind, I just want you to say it.
Okay, great.
Okay. Kyle XY.
Oh yeah, no belly button.
He has no belly button.
No belly button.
No belly button.
Belly button.
He's an alien guy and he has abs, but no belly button.
No belly button. He was an alien. I only received that from the commercials. That's the only reason I knew that.
One more thing you should see. No belly button.
No belly button.
No belly button. Belly button.
Yeah.
Belly button. I don't know anything about Kyle XY besides that. I can't tell you a single other thing. I don't even know what he looks like.
Yeah, he doesn't have a belly button.
I do have memories of the whole no belly button.
Who is the most famous Kyle?
XY.
He was a guy who was part robot.
Is there any details about him specifically as a character that stuck out?
No, he was just like some white guy on TV.
No belly
button.
No belly button. No belly button. That was the whole market.
Alien boy. No belly button.
I was literally just talking to somebody about that the other day because they were joking about how they didn't have a butthole, and I was like, you'd also not have a belly button, just like Kyle XY, and they were like, what is that? And I was like, what do you mean you don't remember Kyle XY? That was a cultural phenomenon.
So did you watch the show?
No, I just remember the commercials.
Hi, thanks for finding the second channel. If you're coming over from the first channel, you're probably used to my content where I review brain rot TikToks, but today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. In the late 2000s, channels like ABC Family were always on in my family's television. You know, I remember watching Seventh Heaven, Switched at Birth, The Secret Life of the American Teenager, but who remembers those shows? I don't think those had any lasting cultural impact. There is one show, however, that captured the hearts, spirits, and mind of the American teenage youth. Kyle XY. Kyle XY was a show that debuted in 2006 on ABC Family, and their marketing made it abundantly clear that he did not have a belly button.
One more thing you should see. No belly button.
This was their only marketing tactic that they had in mind, the only thing that they needed to engage the young viewer. Who is Kyle XY?
Who is Kyle XY?
I don't know. Don't ask me, you made it. What's crazy to me about this show is that I remember it, but I didn't see it. In fact, I don't think I know anyone who watched the show. I wasn't even sure that this show was real. I was convinced that it might have been a fever dream until I started asking and interviewing all my friends to see if they also had the same collective delusion. This is the cultural question that no one has the answer to. Well, instead of me ever Googling it or watching this show, I instead just sort of internalized all my intrigue and, well, I assumed he was an alien, to be honest with you. So the first thing I want to do was go online and look at some of the trailers that had come out at the time, because for 18 years, that's really all I had to work with.
He can't understand the simplest things, but does calculus like it's 2 + 2. Kyle is not human.
The secrets of his past.
You tell me.
He
could
said
be
it.
the key to his future.
How did you do that?
What?
You jumped off the roof.
Tell me he's not an alien.
Tell me he's not an alien. See what I mean? You understand why maybe I thought that he was an alien? Why it would be safe to assume? I feel like they answered the show. It was like obvious. He doesn't have a belly button. He's an alien. What else could it be?
Who is Kyle XY?
This was supposed to be temporary.
We're the only thing he has right now, and I can't give up on him.
I'm the only girl in America who has to babysit a fully grown teenager.
Who is Kyle XY?
Unlock this summer's biggest mystery.
I think Kyle may be connected to a murder.
I bet your family's searching for you right now. You didn't just fall from the sky.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
He's a boy like no other.
How did you do that?
Now, he's just one of the family.
I'm calling Steven Spielberg.
A new
Let's go.
ABC Family original series.
So gross that he sleeps.
I'm sorry. I know it's pixelated, but that's Euphoria, right? That's the Sydney Sweeney Euphoria bathtub shot. Did they steal that shot from Kyle XY? You know, I think the creators have a lawsuit on their hands.
So gross that he sleeps in there.
Try the tea. No, not the tea bag.
Classic. Who is this guy eating the tea bag?
When do we swim?
We don't come here to swim.
An all-new Kyle XY every Monday at 8 on ABC Family.
Now I'm the teabag.
Alien.
There's a clear reason why I thought he was an alien. Yeah, and you can tell. It's very abundantly clear that he's definitely some kind of freakazoid alien. Those are the commercials that reeled us in as kids. Not enough to watch it, but obviously we remember them. Hoping to gain more context, I reached out to my friend Dave, who's a pop culture expert. The big question I want to sort of answer is like, why do so many people, having not watched the show, still remember the commercials, and specifically the no belly button?
I think it's because the ad always emphasized the no belly button. When I think about Kyle XY or just about ABC Family during that time, it's like the question of like, how do you market shows to teenagers specifically? Because like the only channels that were doing it when we were growing up were like MTV, which they had like, you know, shows like Awkward, and then with CW, which was just like genre shows that teenagers kind of liked.
Sure.
Like Super and Smallville.
Yeah.
And then ABC Family. Like, they were clearly marketed for teens, but they didn't know what they were doing. I feel like they were always trying to ride trends of shows.
I assume that Kyle was like their flagship like sci-fi show.
Was there a TMZ article, if we go back? Shows off his hole!
So he was 24.
In the ads. Even they acknowledge that it's the ads that they're thinking about, mimicking the ads for the ABC Family series.
Oh, that's so true. And this was 2007 when the show had already come out. So really, it was a cultural moment, just for the commercials. There seems to be a growing sentiment today that trailers are spoiling the whole movie. So it is nice to just see a 15-second trailer that just poses the question of the show. Who is Kyle XY? This is what all the trailers should be doing, don't you think? I mean, what hooks us in is an engaging question. You show guy no belly button, guy naked in forest. Who? What is his deal? Don't you want to watch 10 hours of television to figure that out? It seems like when marketing a movie, what really works best is to show you too much of the fun that you're going to have in the movie. And for some people, it feels like you're spoiling it. I think part of that as a filmmaker, at least, is the difference between questions and answers. What you want to be doing is posing more questions than you have answers, so you feel engaged enough to figure out the rest of the answers that are revealed during the movie. I guess too many trailers these days feel like they're answering too many of the questions that the trailer is giving. But Kyle XY is doing the exact opposite, baby. Let's go. In Kyle XY's marketing, you are only left wondering, why no belly button? I have gone too far in my life, wondering the secrets to Kyle's life and figuring out who he is. So I decided to find out XY. He doesn't have a belly button. So I set out a goal for myself. Do not stop watching Kyle XY until you figure out what is going on with his belly button. I was gonna have like a timer. I was taking all these notes about when they showed the belly button, but this show got so crazy and had so many other things that I needed to talk about that I instead just watched the whole season and took as many notes as I can because the show is crazy. Everything I say about this show is in good fun. I actually really like watching this show. I think it's a good show. It is definitely dated. They definitely do some things that were just barely okay in 2006 and are definitely not okays by today's standards. Any criticism I have, any digs that I have, are in good fun, and they are only out of love and admiration for the creators and for the show. So let's start with the pilot. This show wastes absolutely no time getting right into it. The shot of him in the forest naked is how the show starts. You might think it's a beautiful lush forest, but right next to him is a rattlesnake. Can you honestly imagine waking up and immediately being tested your fight or flight abilities with a frickin' rattlesnake? I actually have a mug in my kitchen that says, "Don't fight me as a rattlesnake until I have my coffee." Luckily, Kyle XY has some quick reflexes, and he shuts that snake down pretty quick. The way this show starts is him primarily speaking to us in voiceover because he doesn't know English yet. But to all the other characters in the show, he appears mute. Hats off to the lead actor, Matt Dallas, for having these just like doe eyes that really look like he's just a fresh-born baby seeing everything for the first time. It's like just general neutral blank stare in a sort of funny and campy way. I mean, take a look at those eyes. Those are the eyes of a guy who doesn't have a singular clue. So naturally next he wanders downtown and gets arrested because he's naked. Seems par for the course. Seems like that's exactly what should happen. Good screenwriting. Very nice. So now he's in jail. And at lunchtime in jail, he's staring down this dude who screams,
"Yo, let's get some juice down here. What's up? Everyone taking stupid pills around here? Juice me."
Moments later, this is the same dude who he mirrors to find out that you put food in your mouth to eat.
I was about to learn how to quash hunger.
Which, of course, this was delivered with a very triumphant musical cue, which is the same musical cue given to me after I have my coffee. So later in the rec center, he fights that guy and then he pisses his pants.
And I began to feel wonderful.
Great job, guys.
What can I say? Bad day to be Kyle. Then we finally see it. 11 minutes and 9 seconds in. No belly button.
But there is one more thing you should see. No belly button.
Here we meet Nicole Traeger, who's a therapist. She goes to see him and is convinced to take him home and examine him. Something that I doubt happens ever in the real world, but that's okay. So now Kyle meets the rest of her family. We meet Lori Traeger. She's the typical young thought daughter who's having some fun with a boy. And then we meet her younger brother, Josh, who rags on her for being thought daughter.
Declan's her new flavor of the month, or the week in Miss Skanky's case.
Kyle then wanders into a neighbor's house where he meets Amanda, the legit girl next door. It is so obvious that she is the love interest from the moment we hear her playing piano. The tension in the room when she sees him watching her play piano. Palpable. Beautiful. You've just set up a whole season right there. So after he gets caught spying on her playing piano, he runs up into his bathroom where he impersonates Sydney Sweeney's Euphoria shot. His alone time to figure himself out is quickly interrupted by Josh, the younger brother, rushing into the bathroom with a porno magazine. Later at dinner, things get pretty interesting. Okay, Josh uses the R slur.
Not running a retard farm, are we?
Josh.
Good looks. Very nice. And then Kyle realizes that he is thirsty. The problem is he doesn't know how to speak. But a little while ago, he did see someone who was thirsty, who said a certain string of words in a certain order, which leads Kyle to saying his first line of dialogue in the show.
Yo, let's get some juice down here. Sup? Everyone taking stupid pills around here? Juice me.
The cut to the wide shot of him smiling after he says, "Juice me." He is filled with such pride that he was able to say the words and effectively communicate himself. I love how perfectly confusing it is, because I think even in 2006 that was a little bit tone deaf. But he doesn't know. He doesn't know that. He's just thirsty, guys. Give him a break. He just got here. We cannot explain to him cultural sensitivity, okay? Cut him a little bit of slack for the first episode. We'll get there. After dinner, the mom's talking to the dad, and she mentions the no belly button. And when he says,
"Well, how could that be?"
she goes, "He's extraordinary."
Extraordinary.
Like she's impressed that he doesn't have a belly button. And it's not something that's impressive, it's just a thing. I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's just confusing. Maybe if Nicole was in Paris in the late 1800s and she would have said, "My friend Vincent, he's a painter. He doesn't have an ear." Oh, well, how can that be?
He's extraordinary.
The next day, they give Kyle a Scantron test. Remember those? You guessed it. He got everything right. He knew every answer to the question. And he did it really fast.
That was an hour-long test. How long did it take him? 5 minutes?
Yeah, and he got them all right.
How does he intuitively know how to do a Scantron test? Stop asking questions, okay? He knows how to do the Scantron test. Then His brain gets tested. He goes to an MRI scan. And the technicians tell us that, we losers only use 7% of our brain.
You and I use maybe 7% of our brains, all right, at any given time. Einstein used 9% of his brain. Rupert here uses 2%.
But the technicians say that this must be a mechanical error because if he was to use 100% of his brain power,
he'd be prone to all sorts of seizures, strokes, tumors.
Tumors.
Nothing to worry about, guys. It was just an error. Later in the night, the daughter Lori sneaks out of the house to go to a high school party because she wants to hook up with Declan. Kyle, who's downstairs because he can't sleep, sees her leaving and follows her. At the party, he drinks a lot of beer, throws up, and then the cops arrive. The cops catch Lori and try throwing her into the slammer. But don't worry, guys. Kyle smashes through a big-ass window. And then he hisses at the cop like the rattlesnake. Then he pretty much Jackie Chan evades the cop's maneuvers and shows him up. And then the cop just decides to walk away. Not in my country. Obviously, to keep the show going, the mom tries to convince the dad to keep Kyle a little bit longer so they can figure the situation out. He's a little bit skeptical. He wants this to be temporary, but as they're getting more familiar with him, they like him more and more. And then the dad's in his garage workshop fixing a hard drive to get some pictures off of it, and he spills his coffee on it.
Oh, man. Oh, damn it.
We get the first of many monologues that sound like, well, I don't understand why humans do the things.
Whereas verbal communication was so random and contradictory, this language was a logical math-based shorthand that made perfect.
Kyle wanders over to the laptop and starts typing away, and he magically fixes the whole thing.
Wow, that's it.
And the episode ends with everyone putting food on Kyle's plate, ceremoniously telling him, you can stick around, you're part of the family now. That was a lot to cover, and that was just the first episode. So let's start getting into episode 2, because we've got a lot to cover to get to the freaking answer here. Episode 2 opens up with that banging montage. Kyle just going ham late at night in the kitchen, eating up all the snacks, trying out all the flavors. He's got the whipped cream, he's eating stuff by the jar. And then when he thinks he's had his fill, he walks over into the living room and finds Josh's Sour Patch Kids. Now, I'm gonna jump around a little bit here because we need to talk about this. This show talks about Sour Patch Kids too much. It is clearly a product placement, and it is so annoying.
Kyle XY is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
They even do a scene where Kyle straight up uses the Sour Patch Kids as a cereal, which was crazy to do. And it is crazy to do. But nowadays, when you go down the frickin' Target aisle, I'm reminded that we live in clown world. It's too early to tell what exactly Kyle is, other than from the literal future. Dude is a trailblazer in the cereal industry. Let's get him up as the CEO of Kellogg's. He'll be inventing all kinds of things. Why stop at Sour Patch cereal? What about bellybutton O's? So Kyle's staying up late at night because he can't sleep. He's got amnesia. He's got insomnia. Poor guy can't catch a break. I'm starting to think this alien freak just doesn't even need to sleep at all. But they're trying everything. The doctor gives him sleeping pills. Dad takes him on a run. Mom gives him some tea and a nice bath.
No, not the tea bag.
Nothing works. At night, he's sneaking out. He goes stargazing. And we notice some guy with a red truck who's just following him around. Kind of weird. Joke about Kyle's family waiting for them in the spaceship to come pick him back up. That's probably why he's going stargazing at night. He probably wants to go get picked up by his family. Tensions are rising in the family. Everyone's getting a little frustrated with Kyle being there. He's disrupting their patterns. So Kyle gets out of there. Kyle runs away. Classic Kyle. I always said this, classic Kyle. The mom, Nicole, of course, she realizes there's only one place he could be. The place where it all began. So they all rush over there. And there he is, standing on the stoop where he was first founded. They say, "What are you doing?" And he says,
"I came so my family could find me."
Gosh. Your family came. They're your family now, Kyle. Don't you understand? So dang cute. I think I could just cry. But I can't wait. I have to figure out what's going on with this belly button. So the episode ends with him finally falling asleep in the bathtub. He likes to sleep in the bathtub. That's fine. Now this episode has a very wholesome message about family, about caring for each other, overcoming adversity and hardships. But if I were this family, I would probably just be siding with the younger brother. He's definitely an alien. Maybe aliens just don't need sleep. He clearly doesn't seem bothered or affected by having sleep. Actually, after like 2 days of not sleeping, he's like running 5K pace on a marathon. He doesn't seem bothered by him not being able to fall asleep. I think the only people who are worried about him not sleeping is the family. I think they should just be jealous and let him do what he wants. When I was 16 years old, I also didn't sleep through the night. But that's because I was up on Tumblr, reblogging Doctor Who memes. So maybe we should just give him unfettered internet access. Anyways, guys, episode 3. Nicole sits down with Detective Breen, and he tells her that right around where Kyle was found, so was a dead body.
Did you find something out about Kyle?
It looks like it. I think Kyle may be connected to a murder.
And by a dead body, I mean legit a white skeleton that you would pick up at Party City around Halloween. Because all the bones are still connected and there's no rot or anything. It's literally just a skeleton. Despite the timeline, not exactly matching, Kyle can't be ruled out as a suspect. Detective presents Nicole with this logo and wants to ask Kyle if he recognizes it at all. Luckily, he doesn't know what the logo is. Okay, no big deal then. Phew, that won't come up later. So Nicole's telling her husband about what happened later that day, and we see outside that this mysterious man in the red truck is listening in on everything that they're saying through some radio, I don't know. And then Nicole says that the killer would have scratches, and as she's saying that,
so if Kyle was a witness, once his memory comes back,
scratches on his hand. Meanwhile, I'm starting to think I know what happened here. That guy's the killer. I'm pretty smart. This episode mainly deals with Kyle not knowing where he belongs, where he fits in the community. He's not really understanding social cues. A lot of the characters have something to lie about, and Kyle struggles with the social aspects of why you lie, when it's okay to give a white lie, etc., when it's appropriate to tell the truth. Which brings me to sort of talk about the undertones of this show. It is especially prevalent in these early episodes, especially, that Kyle, although his origins are a mystery, he's really just a guy with autism. And as he's learning, he learns more and more, and he gets higher and higher functioning. First, he was completely mute. Now he only speaks in short, blunt sentences that are just like cutting to the truth.
What are you doing?
Waiting.
All of his monologues in the show are about how he doesn't understand human social cues and all this stuff. But math and computers, that makes a lot of sense.
It was as if it were calling out to me. The server was something I understood, a chance for me to be useful.
Without the aura of mystery, without the aura of a belly button, and with the seeming lack of a past, the show is really speedrunning on how to inclusively integrate, appreciate, and work through having an autistic brother, an autistic friend, an autistic person in your community. Episode 3 also deals with Kyle sleeping in the bathtub. Remember how I said he fell asleep in the bathtub at the end of episode 2? Well, now he only wants to sleep in the bathtub.
First he couldn't sleep, now he's Rip Van Winkle. Kyle!
So now he's making everyone late in the mornings by sleeping into the bathtub when everyone's got to take a shower. So at the end of the episode, they surprise him. It's very sweet, I could cry. The dad clears out his workshop and makes the garage a bedroom for him with a bathtub, blankets. Nicole's unpacking Kyle's things and she's looking at Kyle's artwork and oh, did I not mention the drawings yet? Okay, hold on. Yeah, so ever since the first episode, Kyle has been drawing these hyper-realistic drawings by smashing crayons onto the paper, and they're very realistic, and they're always things that we've seen from his memory. So lately they've all been about the forest, and they have these weird black marks on them. So anyways, she's looking at the drawings and notices that all the drawings line up with the black lines to make the logo that Detective Breen was talking about. What? That's crazy. Episode 4. Quite the side quest of an episode, but I would be remiss to not talk about it. I know we're driving towards finding out the belly button, but please bear with me here. That's because this is a classic everybody's at the pool and everybody's horny and everybody's a teenager having a good time episode. In this episode, Amanda, who's the love interest neighbor, saves Kyle from drowning. And when she pulls him out of the water, Kyle's got an erection.
My whole body tensed and tingled. I suddenly felt a strange sort of pressure. Good pressure.
No way!
Now, they don't show it. They don't show us. But by everyone's reaction, damn. That's all I'll say. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But that's the reaction from the show. That's what they want you to think. It's not my fault they made me think it. That's what television is. It's deception. It's sick. And then later in the episode, Josh shows Kyle what porn magazines are. Remember that from the first episode? He says, here's my stash of porn magazines.
Ta-da.
Kyle's like, what do I do with this? And he's like,
Look at it.
and then you and then he says, and then you lock the door.
Except when you're here alone, you can lock your door and do other things.
Jesus. I thought this show was about Kyle's belly button, not what's below it. Now, this episode isn't a total wash. It's not a total filler episode because we also find out that the guy who's been following him around, well, his name is Tom Foss. And he just resigned from the company that he was working for. Probably the reason why he's spying on him.
Your security guard.
Of course. The logo on the security badge, you ask? Well, thank you for asking. It's SpaceX. No, I know. It's the logo that we've been circling this whole time, obviously. We later find out in a confrontation that the badge that Tom gave is not his badge. It was this other guy's badge, Professor Kern. Professor Kern is the guy who was murdered. In episode 5, it's F-Doc, baby. First day of classes. Let's go. Kyle's excited to be there at the school. There, he's taking another standardized test. They always are testing this guy, by the way. So anyways, he takes a test. He knows all the math questions, obviously.
This is not math. We're going to start with history.
But he knows none of the history questions. He doesn't know who George Washington is.
What about George Washington?
Yeah. How about him?
Is he a superhero too?
He wanders into this classroom where they teach physics, and on the board is one of those like unsolvable questions. And of course, Kyle solves it on the board for them.
Well, I'm afraid this young man is not a student at this school.
Well, he has to be. I have to work with him.
Sounds familiar to another movie, doesn't it? Yeah, definitely an influence. He also meets this like typical nerd character who's like really into comic books, and he takes Kyle to the library and shows him the Encyclopedia of History. So Kyle reads all of it in one day.
In one afternoon, I'd covered the span of human history and circled the globe.
I guess now he knows who George Washington is. It's the end of the school day, and the guy who's running the school is really mad that Kyle hasn't taken the test. He was supposed to be taking the test, and he wandered off. Everyone's like, please let him take the test. He's like, the test is supposed to take 5 hours. They always do this, where they're like, the test is supposed to take this long, but he did it in a quick time.
I'm going to die.
So obviously, they're like, all right, let him take the test, and then he finishes the test in like a half hour. But then back at the house, Tom Foss is trying to sneak in right as the mom is walking in, so he almost gets caught.
Steven, I think someone's breaking in.
Get out. Now. Just go.
So he sneaks out, and he puts on this jacket, and he comes back as like a security guard.
This is Tom from our security company.
Hello, sir.
He says he's like some sort of neighborhood watch. But in my experience, our neighborhood watch is normally like a bunch of Karens, not like some guy in a hat and a jacket.
You just happened to be driving by?
Yeah, it's a lucky thing.
The dad is a little bit suspicious though, so he calls the security company, and well, they say, you know, Foss is a good guy. He's just our security man, so don't be suspicious.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Obviously a lie, because at the end of the episode, we're revealed that Foss has bugged their apartment with cameras and is spying on them. What a creep. Episode 6, sort of another filler episode. It's mainly a character development episode. It's Lori's birthday. And surprise, Kyle's making it all about himself because the show is called Kyle XY, not Lori Normal Girl. Anyways, he's really sad because he doesn't know his birthday. He also gets closer to Lori's like situationship boyfriend guy Declan, who is there for a sort of mysterious reason, but it's sort of alluded that it's like a bad home life, like an abusive father or something. Kyle has a vision in a dream of this man standing at his window. And then later, that face from the vision is in the newspaper as the guy who was murdered. His name is Professor Kern. He went missing at University of Washington. And we also find out about a cryptic number, 781227. Remember that number for later, because that number is my social security number. Episode 7 is Air Kyle, baby. It's all about basketball. I'm telling you we're going to get to the belly button, so stop yelling at me. But first we have to talk about basketball. Surprise, the late Corey Monteith is in the show.
Kyle, what's up, dog?
Yep, he's the guy from Glee. So he's the neighbor's boyfriend. Of course, he's the only reason why Kyle cannot bag this woman, bro. Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. That's fucked up. So Josh finds out basically that Kyle is insane on the basketball court. Like, he doesn't miss. So they make him try out for the basketball team. But the season's almost over. The finals is next week. Corey Monteith is really pushing for him to be on the team. The coach is like, I don't want him. It's too late. But then they look outside and he's like banking half-court shots into every hoop on the court. And he's like, all right, we'll have him. Then Kyle learns about Michael Jordan and does the Air Jordan basketball dunk like it's nothing. Just a note to any showrunner out there who's developing a show. If you have to do a filler episode, do it like this, please. Make it as entertaining as Kyle XY doing the Air Jordan. Who's complaining about this? This is so fun. It seems like when the show wants to reveal information outside of Kyle's perspective, they always put him up to some random bullshit like playing basketball. Because while he's playing basketball, Nicole found out that Professor Kern was doing a lot of studying about brain activity. And if you remember, Kyle is using 100% of his brain activity, if you believe the faulty MRI equipment, while the rest of us normal people are only using 7% of our brain, which is a real thing that is true and hasn't been debunked, of course, and Limitless is a documentary. I think the only guy who's using 7% of his brain power is Mitch McConnell. Am I right? Okay guys, we are finally in the home stretch. In episode 8, they decide to go 100% in on the brain activity with the lore and the plot. Kyle sees a hypnotist who puts him under. He unlocks a memory. Professor Kern and Tom Foss. They're fighting.
He's hurting him.
Foss murders Kern. He puts him deeper in hypnosis. He's speaking gibberish.
What is that?
I don't know. Well, at least that's what they say. They say it's gibberish. To me, it's very apparent that it's just numbers very fast. He's just saying things very fast. But for some reason, we wait until about halfway through the episode to figure out that he's speaking really fast. So I guess I'm just smarter than everyone in the show. Fine, moving on. Kyle's dad calls a security company again. He is such a Karen. And he says, take Foss off our security list. I don't want this guy around anymore. So we won't be seeing him anymore.
You got him fired?
Well, not quite, but they agreed to take him off for detail.
I'm just kidding. We're going to see a lot more of him.
Oh, boy.
Declan, Lori, Kyle, they go up to the University of Washington because Kyle wants to investigate about Professor Kern. Up there, they meet his research assistant where they tell him that he was studying.
Essentially, he was interested in maximizing brain power.
Kyle gets tested again. He must be sick of these tests. He overperforms in all of these tests. She's like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Extraordinary.
And then they find a picture from 1985 of a guy who looks just like Kyle.
It's you.
So I guess he is a time traveler. Maybe he is the CEO of Kellogg's. They stay that night to find out more, of course. And good thing, because the professor wakes them up first thing in the morning and has a huge announcement for them.
I found out his name. The guy in the photo. It's Adam Balin.
We don't know who that is yet, but we will. They talk to her secretary who tells more about him. She's this really old lady. And she tells us that he's been missing for over 20 years. And he was a great guy. Then we find this old drawing that Adam Balin made, and it has the same logo that we've been circling around this whole season. Also on that drawing is coordinates, which coincidentally, Nicole is also figuring out that those were the numbers that Kyle was saying under the state of hypnosis. Declan and Kyle go over to those coordinates because of course it's very close by. Kyle goes in to investigate. There he's jumped by this mysterious man, who of course is Tom Foss, and he's like, stop! searching. Stop looking up answers. Stop it.
Get on with your life.
If you keep looking for answers, then your whole family's going to be in trouble. Everyone's going to be in danger. That's what he says. And that's how he says it. This really scares Kyle, which leads him to having to lie to his family. And side note, he's very bad at lying. Everyone sees through it immediately.
What did you see? Nothing. Kyle, you saw something. There was nothing there.
It's really annoying when he has to lie in this show because he's so bad at it and it's not convincing. He just goes, stop asking me. Stop talking about it. I'm past it now.
That's all in the past. I want to focus on the present now.
This episode ends with the company that Tom Foss was working for, called 2000’s. They're looking at security camera footage, and they notice that Kyle was trying to hop the fence, and they go,
781227. He's alive.
Remember that number from earlier? It's not my social security number. I lied about that part. I threw you. I really threw you. You really believed that that was my social security number. You really were pausing this video trying to steal my social security funds. Well, I don't have much. I'm only a little boy. But obviously this is like a huge revelation in terms of the belly button, which is of course what we're still trying to figure out. I know I've taken you around loop-de-loop trying to figure it out, but here we are. We're getting answers about the belly button. You can obviously infer a lot of things about him being called a number from a company and them saying it's alive. But we don't know for sure, so we have to keep going. Episode 9. Guys, Kyle's really good at reading lips, apparently. They keep giving him these superpowers each episode whenever it's convenient. So now he's really good at reading lips, and he's also really good at super hearing. He can just focus in really hard, and he can hear really well. And we find this out because he's eavesdropping on a conversation with Lori, Lori's friend Hillary, and Amanda, where Lori's friend Hillary is being very vague about the fact that she is the mistress to Corey Monteith.
The first time we kissed, God, it gets me hot just to think about it.
And if you remember, Corey Monteith is dating Amanda, who she's talking to. That's messed up. That's really messed up that she would do that. The company 2000’s finds out that it's Tom Foss, their former employee, who is protecting Kyle, and they're figuring out what to do with him.
The boy.
Do what should have been done months ago.
Josh, of course, gets really hung up on the super hearing thing and the lip reading thing. We find out that Kyle has a limit to how much he can super hear before it hurts.
It was as if my body were warning me not to continue.
And he's using this ability now to conspire with Declan to find out more about Tom Foss. So Kyle ropes Declan into this plan, and they go over to Tom Foss's old security office, and they sweet talk the receptionist into finding Tom Foss's address. So now they're going to Tom Foss's address to go find out more about Tom Foss. Someone else is also interested in keeping tabs on Tom Foss, and that's this guy Cyrus. He works at 2000’s. Cyrus is tailing him, and Foss sneaks up on him and gets into his car, which is really just an indictment of just how great Tom Foss is at being a sneaky little guy. Kyle and Declan go into Tom Foss's apartment, and they find the cameras.
What the?
Foss comes back quickly, so they run out the window, and of course, they left the computer on, so Foss figures out pretty quickly that someone was there, and he spots them. What Kyle, Declan, and Foss both don't know, that Cyrus is also there.
Subject's inside.
So now Cyrus, the guy who works at 2000’s, who wants to get rid of Kyle, knows where Kyle is. That's not good. That's just not good. Kyle's gonna die. Imagine if Kyle died. Now they're at a carnival, okay? Kyle's being stalked by Cyrus, who's trying to kill him. He's got a gun in his hand. Kyle goes on the carousel with Amanda, and while he's on it, he keeps spinning around, and he's trying to hear what's going on. And he hears Charlie and Declan talking about how Charlie's not going to tell Amanda that he's cheating on her.
Great for you. Go out with Amanda, tap Hillary on the side.
And then he hears Foss and Cyrus talking, and he's trying to hear what they're saying.
I struggled to hear them.
As things are about to go down, Cyrus is about to shoot this gun when then all of a sudden, Kyle has a seizure. Accurately predicted by the MRI technicians.
Tumors.
Kyle's now at the hospital. Everyone is there to show their support, including Detective Breen, who has a nice surprise for everyone. Kyle's parents.
It's me. It's Mom.
They're just normal parents. They just look like two people. They don't look like little green men. That's an insane twist, that Kyle has regular parents. It's so insane that I don't believe it. And neither does Kyle. He's immediately fishy about it. Which brings us to the season finale. Guys, I think we're going to get some answers here. Why would they not tell us? Why would they not tell us? They call him Noah. Noah? That guy's not a Noah. That guy is a Kyle, through and through. His parents have a pretty decent alibi. They were living in Hong Kong. They shipped Kyle to live abroad, and then they stopped hearing from him.
We thought it was a kidnapping, some sort of extortion scheme. David's an executive for a bank.
They say that his dad is like a CEO for a bank, so they thought maybe it was like a kidnapping for extortion, but then there weren't any phone calls, and they couldn't get a hold of him, so, I don't know. Whoa. Horseshit alibi. That alibi makes no sense. No, I don't understand how anyone believes that. CEO of a bank? I don't think so. Kyle's getting really frustrated that this is a blatant lie and he doesn't have any answers. But if you were wondering how Corey Monteith's affair is going, well, Declan has this to say.
How could he cheat on her?
She's a nice girl who doesn't believe in sex before marriage. And he's a guy.
The family gets a call from the hospital. The DNA from the parents to Kyle is a match. They are definitely his parents.
The DNA's a match.
But Kyle has no interest in going with them. And everyone seems upset that these are just like normal answers.
Damn straight.
That it's just like a normal story and he's not something interesting. Kyle visits a church to search for answers. That's where you go when you're down on your luck. He's looking for a saint to look up to. That's sort of a theme of this episode. Mysterious man who might be a pastor or something. I don't know. He helps talk him through his problems, tell him that these answers are coming. Leaving the church, Kyle gets chloroformed. And then he wakes up in the back of a truck. Tom Foss's truck, of course. Is this guy a good guy or a bad guy? He really toes the line a little bit.
I'm sorry about the chloroform.
Foss brings him back to the forest, hopefully to jog his memory and find some answers. Dude, we've already tried that in episode 2. It's not gonna work. And of course, Cyrus is there with a sniper rifle ready to kill both of them. But Cyrus has clearly never shot a sniper rifle in his life because he misses every shot, and they run back to the truck and get away just fine. Thank God, we need to figure out what's going on with this belly button. The scene after that, Declan visits Lori in her bedroom and says this.
What are you doing here?
Well, I was driving through the neighborhood and felt the strains of downer lesbian music emanating from your house.
Lori is a Boy Genius fan, confirmed. Finally, we're like halfway through the episode, we start to get some answers. Foss confesses to Kyle for the first time how he wound up there in the beginning of the season. They were in the woods. Professor Kern surprised him.
And I killed him. Because he was gonna kill you.
And then right after that, that's when Kyle wakes up, so, you know, it was just better to watch Kyle from a distance because he didn't want to interfere.
Tell me more. Tell me why people want me dead. Tell me why that test said that David and Julia Peterson were my parents when I don't remember anything about them.
But what about my parents? What is the deal with that? And Foss says, I'll tell you. And then we cut away. So I don't really know exactly what he said. Instead, the next scene, Kyle goes back to the parents and says, I remember you.
I remember. Mom.
Okay. Weird. He also says that he's ready to go by tomorrow. What did he say? What could he have possibly said to him in the forest? So Kyle's packing up to leave. Everyone's there to say goodbye. Josh comes to say goodbye and he says this.
After all that, you're just a regular kid with normal parents.
Apparently.
I liked you better as an alien.
I agree with you, Josh. I liked it better when he was an alien too. I feel like I shouldn't have watched this show. So they all say goodbye. Kyle gets in the car and they drive off. And then Kyle says this.
You two are very good liars.
It's our job.
I knew it. He knew it. I knew it. I'm smart. You're smart. We're smart. There's something else going on here. Finally. Here we are. At the end of season 1, we get to hear it. Foss says,
You don't remember anything before that night?
Because there's nothing to remember. For all intents and purposes, you didn't exist.
For all intents and purposes, before you woke up in the forest, you didn't exist. Someone at Zizik says, I have an idea who's behind this. And then we cut to Kyle arriving at his destination. Kyle walks into this huge estate. There he comes face to face with the man from the church. Adam Balin,
I'm Adam Balin.
who promises to teach him everything.
What would you like to know?
Everything.
Last episode of season 1, we cut back to Zizix, where they're talking about 781228. Kylie XX. So I guess Kyle's found himself his bride of Frankenstein. So that's the end of season 1. After all that, we don't really know the whole story. I mean, there's a lot of inferences, of course. But no one has just said it. No one has just said it out loud. We can infer that he is some sort of test tube baby at Zizix. But seeing that Kyle doesn't himself know any of the details yet, I'm not really satisfied with inferences. I need that cold, hard dialogue. I need that exposition. I need you to tell me. I need a soundbite for the video. So let's start season 2. You really thought you'd get all the answers in season 1, didn't you? You really thought that they knew that they were getting a season 2 because they knew that they had a hit on their hands. So they held off. Until about 10 minutes into season 2, of course. Now we're at Adam Balin's secret compound in this huge estate. And in season 2, we quickly start to learn about Kyle and his past. First things first, Adam shows Kyle that he can move things with his mind. And he says that Kyle can too. He just needs to frickin' figure it out. And then Adam finally explains the whole situation. It's the most insane lore of all time. I really, at the beginning of this journey, could not foresee this exposition. He starts off by talking about Albert Einstein. He says that Albert Einstein was so smart because he spent an extra couple weeks in the womb.
Typical gestation period for a human being is 40 weeks. Einstein spent several weeks longer in his mother's womb.
So Einstein started doing secret experiments on prolonging the gestation period of a baby. And then Einstein stopped doing tests. But then in the 50s, other scientists started doing it without Einstein. And in those tests in the 50s, they were able to prolong a pregnancy for up to 13 months.
Unfortunately, the surrogate mother died when the child was born. What happened to the child?
That baby, Adam Balin.
You're looking at him.
Whoa. So Adam invented Zizix, where he developed an artificial womb with no need for a mother.
And obviously, no umbilical cord. And as a result, the child will not have a belly button.
The child will not have a belly button. The child will not have a belly button.
That's nice. 8 minutes and 39 seconds into season 2 and episode 1. We hear it. No need for a belly button. Adam Balin, father of Zizix, father of Kyle, developed an artificial womb and created the Kyle XY, who entertains us today. I love that answer. Test tube baby's good. A couple people said test tube baby. I didn't think test tube baby. So finally we have an answer for the question that plagues our generation. I was ecstatic to finally have an answer. So while I was in the middle of scripting this video, my friend Daniel was having one of his monthly pitch nights. Hello! Come on guys, can I hear a little bit of action? Yeah, that's right. Where people come prepared with the presentation on whatever they want to talk about. This being the only thing on my mind, I wanted to come up with a funny way to integrate Kyle XY. We have been too lax about this for too long.
No belly button.
No belly button, thank you very much. So I made a presentation on funny other reasons why he doesn't have a belly button. Okay, reason number 1, why he didn't have a belly button. Kyle is God. No one would think that he is Christ who has returned. It was really just a lighthearted twist on the topic that I've been obsessively obsessed with. To my surprise, there was someone new at this pitch night that I had not met before. And they were also the only audience member who has seen Kyle XY. Has anyone watched the show? Yeah. Okay, well, you watched it with me. Put those hands up. So you've seen the show. All right, so I'm sorry about this presentation. At the end of my pitch, someone asked, "Do they ever tell you about the belly button?" And I went, "Oh yeah, they kind of tell you the answer at the end of season 1." I'm not here to say the real reason. Watch the show; it's on Hulu. No. They actually do give you the reason at the end of season 1. And then she says,
"Oh, can we just look it up?" They take it back.
"What?" You're kidding. You're telling me I've watched all of season 1 and 10 minutes of season 2, and now I need to watch the rest of the show to really find out what happens with the belly button? Oh my god. Say it ain't so. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can watch the rest of Kyle XY. I was hoping to get this video out like 2 weeks ago. Guys, this thing has ruined my life. This show has taken over everything. I have been searching for answers for weeks on the belly button. And let me tell you, it has not been easy sitting and watching television. Believe it or not, one of the hardest things to do. That's why you're watching this video instead of watching the show. So let's just get right into it. There's a lot to cover. There's 2 more seasons and I really want to breeze through because, my God, if I told you everything. So there's a lot to get through. There's 2 more seasons that I have to tell you about, and we don't have a lot of time. I made this nice little board for you. Obviously, important thing, belly button. What's going on here? We gotta know about it. Not the best Sharpie. So obviously, we sort of know this from what I was just talking about, but Kyle is Lisan al-Gaib. Kyle is the chosen one. He can move things with his mind. Well, he potentially. Adam really can move things with his mind, and he says that Kyle can too. Spoiler alert. Oh, he can move things with his mind. Oh, he can do all sorts of things. I can't wait to tell you all about it. We are introduced to this guy, Brian Taylor. He will be important, so you better remember him. Maybe I should just ditch this. I don't have any notes. At the estate, they are doing great, groundbreaking progress on lore about Kyle. And then all of a sudden, Adam gets shot by a sniper, and he dies.
He's been shot.
And they all got to get out of there. Foss is there, and he says, we got to get out of there. Tom Foss goes into Zizix with pipe bombs, and he plans to blow the place up. What the hell? So Foss is there, Kyle's there, obviously Kylina's there. Tom, Kyle, Kylina, they all make it out okay. Zizix blows up. Zizix is done. But don't worry, we are not done yet with hating secret companies, because now I'm going to introduce you to Metacorp. Metacorp is run by this guy, Ballantine, not Valentine, Ballantine. Obviously, he wants to get to Kyle. Adam dies, Zizix blows up, Kyle goes back to the Traegers. He's here now. So Kyle's back home. Brian Taylor comes over and says, those parents that picked him up, dead. And you're their guardians now. You are their guardians. So Kylie XX over here, she wanders out of Zizix. She's naked. She doesn't know what's going on. She's disoriented, first time out of the pod. And she stumbles on this hunter. Well, he threatens her. And you know what she does? She legit murders the dude. So everyone hears the news that there's this hunter that died and no one knows who killed him. Ballantine hires Emily to work for Metacorp to hunt her. Emily tracks down her and she's in a shipping container, tapping away, making these crazy drawings. So Emily captured her, tranquilized her, brought her back to Metacorp, where they put her under some surgery and she came out with a new personality. And man, did they pick a good one. They went with normal teenage girl whose parents are not in the picture, and Emily, her sister, is taking care of her. And so they live together now in an apartment. Also, during this episode, my girlfriend Erma said that I look like Josh. Leave a comment if you think I look like Josh. But there is a right answer, by the way, so choose wisely. Amanda, the love interest, finally finds out that Corey Monteith is cheating on her. I think his name is Charlie, but we'll call him Corey Monteith because he's an iconic actor. Rest in peace, by the way. So she breaks up with him, and he's like pretty much out of the show. He might be in one more episode, but he's pretty much done. Which means that Kyle and Amanda, they can get going on this. We can finally see this happen. We've been waiting. Foss is getting really on Kyle's ass about the abilities. He wants to really hone in his abilities. He knows that Kyle is always going to be in danger, so he wants to protect him. Kyle decides to get to work on his abilities and working closely with Tom Foss over here. Kyle is obviously, everyone's happy that he's back home, but now he's working with Foss, so he's sort of been absent from the family because he's too busy training. And everyone's kind of sus about it. They're a little peeved that he's back, but he's not back. The dad loses his job at the software engineer company. They go under, or they get bought out or something. And because of that, Josh can't get a new car for his birthday. Josh meets this... Oh, I didn't put a picture of her. Josh meets this new girl, Andy, and he's risen her up in his new car, but it's a non-functioning car. They're just sort of sitting in it. Kyle saves Amanda from an intruder in her house. The dad's unemployed, and he's saying stuff like skunk weed.
Skunk weed?
Now, normal teenage girl, her real name is Jessie, by the way. We'll call her Jessie from now on. Jessie has her first therapy session with Nicole. Very similar situation to Kyle. They're really going through the motions here. In this episode, Amanda's precious bracelet goes missing. It's her link to her dead father, and everyone's really upset about it. Kyle obviously is the most upset about it because he really wants her. So he tracks it down. It's at a pawn shop. Why is it at a pawn shop? Well, some guy must have stolen it and sold it at a pawn shop. So what Kyle does is he trades Adam Balin's ring for it. This is an important ring. He trades it in for the bracelet. Selfless guy. He trades it in, gives her the bracelet. Then we find out that the bracelet was actually given to the pawn shop by her mother because they're under hard times because the dad's dead. Amanda obviously was not privy to that because the mom was trying to protect her. Kyle goes back to get the ring. It's not there anymore. He says, who bought it? And the guy goes, someone who paid a lot of money to lose the receipt. So now Kyle doesn't have this ring. But you know what's also happening? Dad's interviewing for a lot of jobs, and he gets a job at Matacorp with Valentine. They shake hands, and you know what we see? Valentine has the ring. Kyle turns into That's So Raven. He can see stuff from the future. He can sort of go into his mind palace. Kyle gets a message and he thinks it's from Adam. He later decodes it, and it means do not trust Foss. Kyle runs over to the warehouse to interrogate Foss on why he shouldn't trust him, but his stuff is wiped out. It's not even there anymore. It's an empty warehouse again. Kyle and Jessie, they meet for the first time. Amanda invites Kyle to the spring fling dance. And since Foss is gone, all this stuff is happening. Perfect time for a sort of just like character episode. He says we can go to the dance together. Emily and the dad now work at the same company, Matacorp. And so she's trying to get closer to him. He finds out that she's her sister, and he's like, well, that's crazy because she's my wife's new patient. Yeah, that is crazy. It's almost like it's not a coincidence at all. Also in this episode, Kyle tells Declan everything, so now he's in on the loop on what's going on. And at the end of the spring dance, Lori gets hit in the head by the dumpster. And we don't see who it is. And she doesn't see who it is either. She gets a little roughed up. Your first intuition is it Foss? Was it Declan? I don't really know. So we'll find out though. Kyle and Amanda kiss. They kiss finally. It's been a long time coming. I'm happy to see it. I love Amanda in this show. Kyle deserves a girl like her. It's great. Lori's feeling a little bit crazy after healing up. She wants to do something crazy. So all of the kids, they all go into the forest to go to a storm drain. When they get there, Kyle has a vision. He realizes that that's a storm drain that leads into Zizix, which obviously has been bombed. So a couple of them go inside. Kyle eventually has to go in and try and save them. We also see Adam has a safe at Zizix. So Kyle retrieves the item in Adam's safe. The object that he got is locked, and the key to it is the ring. Not good, because he doesn't have the ring. Valentine has the ring. So now we need to figure out a way to get this ring back from Valentine. So while that's all happening in the storm drain, Josh and his girlfriend, not girlfriend, Andy, are outside waiting for them to come back. And they're talking and they're arguing and they're fighting. And it is revealed that Andy has cancer.
I have cancer.
Probably the most heavy-handed thing that happens in this show so far, other than all the sci-fi stuff. That's pretty real. Kyle, Declan, and Foss go into Matacorp to try and steal the ring from Valentine. Pretty convoluted plan. Kyle gets it in the end, and on their way out, Foss stops the bad guys and lets Kyle and Declan get away, and Foss gets captured by Matacorp.
Let's go.
Thank you. Get out of here! Taking the room 237.
So now Kyle has the ring. He can go up and open this thing from the safe from Adam. And what is in there is a picture of Adam and some other girl. That kind of looks like Emily, to be honest, but it's not Emily. It's not Emily. Don't be confused. I was confused. I thought it was Emily. It's not. It's some other girl. So now Foss is captured by Matacorp. They're strapping him to a chair with a thing around his head, and they're like zapping his brain. We find out that Matacorp is testing ways to remove memories from people's brains. That's what he's strapped into, a memory removing machine. Jessie and Kyle show each other their belly buttons, or lack thereof, for the very first time. They are starting to realize that they're two peas in a pod. Emily also has a hidden younger daughter who's maybe 6 years old, and she is keeping Jesse away from her for good reason, not telling her about it. Jesse finds out that she has a daughter, and she brings her back to the apartment and says, you better tell me what's going on. You better tell me what's going on, or this girl's gonna get it. Empty threat, but come on, pretty good play. At the end of that, it doesn't go her way, and Jessie runs away. She's in the forest. She's overwhelmed. She's literally hanging over the edge, contemplating it all. Right before she's about to jump, Kyle comes in, saves her, says, we'll help you. We'll help you. Nicole will help you. We'll help you. Get off the ledge. Come on. And she does it. It's very sweet. Thank God. We need her around. The dad, who's working at Metacorp, goes into the testing room and oversees Foss, who he recognizes from last season. He hears something about how Kyle's connected to all of this. So this is the mid-season finale. This is what we've been driving towards. Kyle and Jesse are wandering through the woods looking for some answers. They've got a hunch about it all. It leads them into a diner, this old rustic 50s sort of diner. And this old guy who's running the place comes in and he's like, I remember you too. You used to sit right over there. So they sit down at this table. Obviously, what he's remembering is Adam Balin and the other girl from the photo. There's a symbol at their table. I think it's the Latnock symbol. Correct me if I'm wrong. Edit that out if I'm wrong. Now, the family's really at a breaking point of Kyle not telling them answers on who he is. Josh tries to stick up for him, but they're all pretty upset that they don't have answers. Kyle and Jesse go down this abandoned highway and it leads them to a house, and they sneak into the wooden house, and there they find Adam Balin, who we thought was shot, but he's still alive, but he's in a coma. He's in like the secret room. Kyle and Jesse try and enter Adam Balin's mind palace, and what happens here is that Jesse accidentally enters Kyle's mind and takes some very important information. Some information that Metacorp really wants and actually programmed Jesse to get. So now, Jessie is a threat to Kyle because she has some very secret, top secret information that Metacorp really wants, and she's programmed to get, and she's going to have to bring it back to him unless they do something about it. So she runs away. They have a little bit of a tussle, and it results in Jessie jumping off a cliff. Dude, she legit, offed herself. Oh my God. Kyle almost jumps in after her, but guess what? Foss, for some reason, comes out of nowhere and stops him. Says, there's nothing you can do now. There's nothing you can do. She jumped. What are you going to do? He says that Latnock, new word, Latnock, they are the key to everything. You thought it was Metacorp? It's actually Latnock. Kyle goes back and tells them everything. Literally recaps We Fade to Black, and he goes, yeah, so that's basically everything you need to know. Kyle goes to Amanda's to check on her lovely, sweet girlfriend, and the mom says, actually, she left for piano conservatory. What I forgot to mention earlier is that she got accepted to a piano conservatory recently. She's debating not going because of Kyle. She winds up going and leaving Kyle. So now that the dad is in on it, and they all are up to speed on what's going on, Kyle and the dad make a plan to team up in Metacorp because he's got the resources. He's an employee. And their plan is to try and fry the machine that Foss was in, the memory removal machine. It's called the CIR. I don't remember what it stands for. It doesn't matter. When they get to Metacorp, their plans are thwarted immediately because they find Jessie, who's still alive. Yay! And she's freaking out because she has this information. She's drawing really fast on the board, trying to get it all out. Because this knowledge that she has is overwhelming her. I don't know what it is. It's probably like the McDonald's secret sauce. I don't know what this forbidden knowledge is. It's probably 5 easy alpha male tips to bag more women. Ew. It's not that. They strap Jessie into the CIR machine, the memory removal machine, actually to extract the information. Kyle goes into her mind palace and overwhelms the machine and totally breaks it all up. Now Jessie doesn't have this information in her head anymore, but Metacorp doesn't have it. So now they have to put Kyle in the machine. Dude, I am listening to myself thinking, Jesus, this is so convoluted. So Kyle wants to be in the machine to overwhelm it because his mind palace is so strong. So now that Jessie can't do it because she doesn't have the information, they have to put Kyle in the machine. They put him in, and it overwhelms the city, actually, and they have a whole citywide blackout. Now, Metacorp doesn't have the information. They don't have it in their heads. All looks pretty good to me. Brian Taylor comes into Jessie's hospital room after all this because she's pretty gunked up. He was the guy that took that photo of Adam and that girl is Jessie's mom, and her name is Sarah. Another thing revealed. Here's Sarah. I know she's small. She plays a small but important part in this overall story. At the end of this episode, of course, Foss is packing up to leave. They're sort of done with his character. Kyle is well equipped. We don't need the Foss character anymore. He's kind of comes in sporadically here and there, but Foss is kind of just done. He's kind of like, I gotta go, man. It's all up to you now. Kyle gets back to the house. Amanda is in the bathtub. What happened? I thought she was at piano conservatory. Her flight actually got delayed, and then the blackout happened, so her flight was canceled. So now she's back with Kyle and can say goodbye before she goes. How nice. So that's the mid-season 2 arc, dealing with Matacorp and Valentine and Emily. So they are pretty much done for. We can put X's over their eyes. They're not dead, but they are defeated. Absolutely done for, but not dead. Okay, so now it's like moving on. We still have half a season left. What do? Kyle decides he can levitate over water. So Amanda comes home to surprise her mom, and she says that she has to talk to Kyle later. But the mom winds up being really pissed that she's there, and she comes home because she thinks it's really just to see Kyle. Then Amanda gets grounded. Amanda tells him that she actually wants to drop out of the conservatory, but her mom's making her go. Her mom packs her back up on another flight. It's like they keep doing this. And Amanda just doesn't get on it. She actually doesn't get on it. She taps on Kyle's window and says, let me in, hide me. Oh, fuck. Okay. Take 3. Okay. A social worker comes in the house to investigate Kyle. And bad timing because Amanda's trying to sneak out of the house. So they keep playing this game of chess where they're trying to she's trying to get out of the house. They're trying to get the social worker out of the house. They're trying to hide the bathtub that Kyle sleeps in because it's not a good look. Right as Amanda's about to make it out the door, Amanda's mom knocks on the door and they meet, and they're big surprise, of course. Amanda chews her out, which is awesome. It's the first time she's ever really stood up for herself. And I really like that about her. I really like that she stood up for herself. The social worker leaves and gives Nicole the citation for getting too close to her patients. A little bit annoying, but not the biggest deal in the world because at least we still have Kyle. The social worker goes back. Turns out she's not a social worker. She's actually working for Latnock. And she said, oh, it's so obvious. Kyle's the one. Oh, Kyle's the one, all right. Amanda is home for good. She's not going back to the conservatory because she stood up to her mother. But she has to work at The Rack, which is their coffee magazine hangout spot. And they spend a lot of time there the rest of the season. Kyle also helps out one day because it's very busy. And while he's helping out, you know what they're also doing? Kissing in the back room, having a good old time. Kyle gets a text to meet at the warehouse from an unknown number. We assume it's Foss. It's not. It's Adam. It's Adam Balin. I hate this thing. Adam tells Kyle that Brian Taylor is going to push Jesse too far. And we need to stop that because he doesn't have her best interest at heart. What he really wants is to get her in the best possible shape for Latnock. He's just using her as a pawn. It's not fair, and it's not right, and it's not humane. So we got to get her out of this situation. Oh, ever since this Matacorp situation got handled, she's been staying with Brian Taylor. She's staying with him. He's pushing her too hard. And it's really not because, he cares about her. It's not because he cares about her. Obviously, it's not because he cares about her. It's because of Latnock. He's working for Latnock still. So Adam tells Kyle all of this. And Adam's worried, of course, because the same exact thing happened to Jesse's mom, Sarah. Sarah pushed herself too hard, and she died. And these powers and these abilities were overwhelming for Sarah. And we don't want history to repeat itself. Okay? Learn from your mistakes. Another ability is unlocked in this episode. And you know what that is? They can heal wounds. Adam obviously came back from the dead. He said, I'm really strong. I can heal a gunshot wound in a couple months. You can heal your own cuts if you learn how. Jessie figures out how to heal her own cut. She's been pushing herself really hard. But when she does it, she faints. It's too much. It's too much too fast, girl. You're going to burn yourself out like that. Amanda tells someone that she feels like Lois Lane to Clark Kent, which is kind of a funny thing because everyone says that Kyle looks like the guy from Smallville. And they also came out around the same time, so the parallels are so meta right now. I could only imagine seeing that episode when it came out in 2008. I'd be like, oh, Smallville. So Andy's at Josh's house and they're fighting about the cancer. And Andy's on her way out when Kyle comes in. And they share a nice moment. And Kyle hugs Andy. And he hugs her so hard. I can't even say it. He hugs her so hard he cures her cancer. His nose starts bleeding. The lights start flickering. And we're like, damn. he just cured cancer. We find out that Andy is officially in remission. Everyone is so happy. Honestly, such a beautiful moment. I almost cried, which is not embarrassing, actually. Not because he cured cancer, but Kyle is obviously a very dependable guy. He's very smart. Everyone's asking him for some sort of favors, and it's burning him out. He's like weak at the knees. Like his abilities are not keeping up with just how much he's needed. We think Kyle's overwhelmed because of the stress and everyone's asking him too much stuff. But actually, it's because, I didn't even mention this earlier. Jessie found a vinyl on her pillow. We assumed Brian Taylor left it. It's the vinyl that was Adam and Sarah's special song at the diner. They had always played it. It was D4, and the vinyl said D4 on it. So I was like, damn, that's their special song. Jessie gave the vinyl to Kyle, and he's been listening to it a lot. Turns out that's why he's been feeling so overwhelmed this episode. And that's because inside the song is a secret message. See, when Adam and Sarah were together in the 80s, they would always leave secret messages for each other. And this secret message sort of hypnotizes Kyle to draw a bunch of drawings that sort of look like nonsense. A bunch of the dots that he's doing, but it's like a billion, and he's like plastering the walls with it. If you overlay all the images that Kyle produced, which they do, it produces a red latnock ring, which is a 1 of 1 for Sarah. And on top of the ring, a simple message: I'm alive. Amanda's mom comes over to tell Kyle that I don't know what happened, but I'm really glad that she's back. She's playing piano. She hasn't played piano in a while. And Kyle takes that as an opportunity to ask if he can ask Amanda to go to prom. And she goes, maybe yes. Yes, you can do that. Kyle gets a message that says, help Jessie. And that's because Taylor's pushing Jessie too hard, like I've told you. Later that night, he gets another message, tonight. Kyle traces these messages leading back to Sarah at the diner. So now Sarah, who was presumed dead this whole time, is actually alive. Sarah wants to remain hidden, but of course Kyle's like, no, you have to meet Jessie. Come on, you're the same person. Sarah's hesitant to meet. And then, of course, she says yes, because it's the plot. You have to do it. Amanda is planning the prom. She's essentially the only one doing it. And it's going horribly, by the way. So there's two things going on in this episode. Amanda's planning the prom, and Jessie is meeting Sarah. Jessie goes to meet Sarah at the diner, and she just collapses, and her heart stops. And Kyle's like, I know what to do. But it's not CPR. For some reason, he doesn't think to do CPR. He uses his special abilities and brings her back. Kyle's like straight up a god, to be honest with you. And him reviving Jessie with supernatural abilities, he is really playing God with this. He's really something crazy. They're advancing him too much. I'm not surprised the show was canceled. If it was like season 6, like I don't even know what would have happened. Ladnock watches Kyle revive Jessie, and they say that they should reveal themselves to him. So that's exactly what they do. Season 2 finale. It's the big prom episode. It's honestly a beautiful episode, just because the prom ends up looking so good. Kyle has a conversation with Adam, and Adam says, I asked Latnock to take a step back and let you just be a kid, okay? So you don't have to worry about Latnock anymore. Kyle's worried that Latnock's still watching him despite what Adam had said, which is later revealed to be true at the end of the season when Kyle and Amanda are leaving the prom. They both step out. Amanda's like, oh, I forgot my clothes. Oh, I forgot my clothes. Can you go get them? He goes in to get his clothes, and then she's gone. Amanda got kidnapped. Whew. Let's take a breather, guys. That was season 2. Season 3 is a lot shorter. So we pick up with season 3. He's looking around for Amanda. Kyle gets kidnapped too by Latnock. He wakes up. He breaks out. He's being tested on the facility, and he breaks out. Jessie senses that he's in danger. Jessie was about to skip town, actually, with Sarah. They were going to go leave and start their own life together. But right as they're about to leave, Jessie's like, hold on. My brain's telling me Kyle's in danger. So she goes to try and save Kyle. And because of that, Sarah leaves. Jessie comes back to the apartment, and there's a note about how Sarah's left. She can't do it. She can't be her mother anymore. Kyle gets like a hostage text message from Latnock, where we see that Amanda is held in captivity, and she's like on like this bed in like a gross room. So Kyle goes back to the facility that he escaped from, thinking that that's where Amanda is, but the facility's totally wiped clean. I love that this happens a lot, by the way. Jessie is there though because she got those signs from Kyle that he's in danger, so that led her there. They plan together to find Amanda. They track down where Amanda is held, and they're making a mad dash. They finally get caught on their way out, and Kyle dives and takes a bullet for Amanda and Jesse as they make their grand escape.
Put the girl down.
Go!
I'm like, damn, did they really just try and kill Kyle? I mean, that would make sense because they did sort of tee up the thing about Adam being able to heal a gunshot wound. So maybe Kyle has a... No, it was actually a rubber bullet.
It was a rubber bullet. Wait a long time to meet you, Kyle. Glad you're here.
Actually, what was happening was Latnock put on this whole grand scheme design to try and see if Kyle could do what they're asking, and he obviously blew them out of the water. He's very impressive, and Latnock is like, dang, that's crazy that you did all that stuff. You should work with us. And this is when we meet this fucking guy, Michael Cassidy, but we call him Cassidy. So Amanda's safe. We meet this guy, and Kyle's like, I'm not going to work with him. So what happens here is pretty interesting. Cassidy was also Jesse's neighbor in the apartment with Sarah. So we revealed that he is working for Latnock, but also so is Laurie's new love interest, Michael. Michael? What is his name? What the hell is this guy's name? So Cassidy's working for Latnock, and so is Laurie's new love interest, who is the DJ at the prom. He is Steven's TA, because Steven's now working as a professor at UW. And we find out that Steven's TA, who's interested in Laurie, is also working for Latnock. So we've had Ballantyne. We've had Brian Taylor as a little bit of a bad guy. So now he's the new bad guy, Cassidy. Amanda, who's finally safe home and sound. Amanda, who's finally home, safe and sound, actually has been microchipped by Latnock. She has like a little bruise and she's getting like headaches and stuff. Kyle does not tell Amanda that she has been kidnapped and maybe experimented on and who knows what.
No, thank you, Kyle. My night was perfect.
Because he doesn't want to tell her the truth. She doesn't know that he's like a test tube baby. She doesn't know any of these secrets about him, really. And he wants to keep it that way. So when she wakes up, she's in his arms. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. We were at the after party after prom and everything. You just fell asleep. No big deal. But actually, you know, all this other stuff happened. So Amanda obviously finds out that he was lying about that.
You weren't at the after party? We were there, weren't we?
And she's really mad. Amanda is also very threatened by his connection with Jesse. Obviously, they are of the same kin, so they talk a lot. They scheme a lot. She is always there planning and helping Kyle when he needs it the most. And Amanda feels threatened by that, obviously, and reasonably. But Kyle can't really tell her why she's always around. So it just kind of looks like he might be cheating on her, which would be the second time that she cheated on. There is a fair in town, and they all go see the psychic, and Kyle is told by the psychic that when the white rabbit flies at midnight, your loved one is in danger. Your soulmate is in danger. Which leads to Amanda and Jesse. They're on this boat concert, and the boat is called the White Rabbit, and something goes crazy, and Jesse flings overboard, and Kyle saves her. So now Amanda's like, oh, well, the psychic told you this, and it should have been me, but Jesse is clearly your soulmate. Kyle's like, Jesus Christ, I just love you, Amanda. Like, don't take it this way. Jesse is sort of displaced again. She was living with Emily. That didn't work out. She was living with Brian. Pushed too hard. Sarah leaves. So now Jesse finally moves in with the Traegers. So now she's living with them under their roof. This is getting a packed house. What? Dude. And obviously Jesse moving in creates a lot of tension for Amanda, because now they're under the same roof, and if they were doing stuff, they can do stuff a lot more easily. A lot of tension, right? A lot of tension romantically. It's like, I thought this was the question. And now the question is like, what's going to happen with this love triangle? So Amanda's really stressed out, and she has this piano recital that she's trying out for. And she's complaining that she's always failing during this one section of the piece. And Kyle's like, oh, it's because of your microchip. We got to get this microchip out of you. At a rehearsal for the recital, Jesse and Kyle go to try and sneak a scanner under the piano to sense her brain waves to see if if that's even what's happening, if it's the microchip that's causing this. And they do it, but they get caught by Amanda, but it doesn't matter. The scanner reveals that their hunch is true, that it is the microchip, and they have to fix the microchip. They have to like disable it. Kyle thinks that he can fix Amanda's brain by sending an electrical impulse. Now he's like another superpower. He has like electricity. He can move electricity with his mind. He's got and he thinks that he can do that through a kiss.
Kyle, that's it. Pass the electricity through a kiss. You'll have to practice.
But he's worried that he's not going to use enough voltage, or he's worried that he's going to do too much voltage. So Jesse's like, well, you can try on me. Oh my God. You know where this is going. Kyle's like, no, I can't kiss you because I love Amanda. She's like, well, we're just trying it out. Like, you don't want to fry Amanda's brain. And he's like, God, I guess you're right. So maybe I should try it out on you. So obviously they kiss, and then Amanda walks in the door, and she sees them kissing. And she sees them kissing, obviously. This was the one part of the whole show that I had to pause and just take a breath, because I actually wasn't sure I could get through it. I was very stressed out, and it was kind of just pissing me off that this was all happening, because like, what an avoidable plot line. So Amanda's like, God damn it, Kyle cheated on me too. So she runs away and she goes to the recital. By the way, this was like right before the recital. So now she goes and does the recital. Kyle sneaks in, he sneaks past the guards, he sneaks past the mom, and he catches Amanda right before, and she's like, dude, I can't trust you. That's like there's no explaining that. And he's like, I know. But please just trust me one last time. I can fix this. So they kiss, and Amanda does good at the recital. Not bad, right? But obviously Kyle and Amanda are broken up. Like, that's the end of it. Like, there's no coming back from that, bro. You literally kissed Jesse. Jesse's feeling a little bit unwanted because she's, well. Oh my God. This is just too much. Okay, so Kyle gets really drunk at a bar where they serve underage people, and that's kind of just funny.
Hello, my name is Kyle, and I am the result of a science experiment.
Like, nothing really important happens there. Foss is calling him, and he's ignoring it, and he literally, Kyle for the first time ever says, I'm Kyle XY.
I cannot stop, because I'm Kyle. I'm Kyle XY.
Foss was calling Kyle when he was drunk and he was ignoring it. And that was because Foss was coming to tell him that Adam Balin is officially dead. And dead for real this time.
And you may not realize it yet, but this changes everything.
Oh my God, this episode. Okay, Kyle's upset about the breakup. Kyle and Josh accompany Nicole on a company trip, some speaking conference, I think. Anyways, they're on their way to the speaking conference, and they get into an accident.
Watch out!
Josh and Kyle are okay. Nicole is like stuck in the passenger seat. She can't get out. They go up to find what's the deal with this lady. She's a pregnant woman. And she's there alone, and her water breaks. I hate to say it, her water breaks. So Kyle gives birth to a baby. Oh my God, this might be one of the heaviest episodes. So Kyle brings life into the world, and in doing so, he had to sacrifice saving Nicole, who found out that she was bleeding. So after they give birth to the baby, they run back to Nicole, and she's totally passed out. The cops arrive, they bring her to the hospital, and dude, it is not looking good. Like, Kyle's overhearing that she has a collapsed lung. Other organs are failing. It literally looks like they're going to kill Nicole.
We've done all we can.
Adam's substitute for amniotic fluid.
You think you could help Nicole?
I'm misty, to be honest with you, because she's, like, really important. Her dynamic with Kyle is really sweet. And, like, you know, who wants the mom to die? That's maybe one of the worst things ever, mom dying. Kyle just can't sit in the hospital, obviously. So Kyle decides to straighten up and impersonate a medical doctor. And he puts on a medical cloak. Cloak? I don't know what they're called. Doesn't matter. And he reads a bunch of books in the break room about how to do all this stuff. And he finds out that the hospital has no plan. They're honestly just going to let her die. Kyle's not okay with that. But they're out of options. Kyle and Jesse are talking, and you know what they say? The only way out of this is to talk to Latnock.
Join us at Latnock.
We swore them off, but we got to go back in because they definitely have the cure. You know what they probably have? Adam's fluid. Adam's fluid that sustained life in the tube. that could probably repair the damage that's done to Nicole. So Kyle makes an ultimate deal with the devil. They will help Nicole get better and heal in the hospital and give him the fluid, but Kyle has to work for Latnock. We don't want him to work for Latnock because they are clearly bad news. We don't know what exactly is up with them, but it's not good. But he makes his ultimate sacrifice in the end, saving Nicole. You do what you have to do for your family. Also revealed at the end is that Cassidy talks to Jesse, and she definitely knows something about Latnock that Kyle doesn't. Not good. So Americana. The next episode is the big hospital bill. Everyone tries to raise money for the hospital bill because it's like, I don't even know. They don't even say how much it is. So what Kyle does is he works at the Latnock facility. He's introduced to all these people in the department, and there's this one guy, Nate. Nate's like the egotistical freak. He thinks he's the best in the class, and obviously Kyle's the best in the class. So they can sort of work on whatever projects they want. Kyle says, show me all this stuff with the grant money. Show me the stuff where I can make the money. It's a hoverboard competition, and obviously it's just Nate and Kyle working in the hoverboard competition. Kyle's hoverboard is better in the end. Very nice. They win the money. At this point, I literally stopped and wrote down, do we even care about the belly button? I know we've been listening and we've been having a nice time together, but I'm not even sure it's on the list of the top 20 things about this show that I care about while watching this show. Even though I've been told that I've been lied to. Another issue with Andy that Josh is having. So Andy used to have cancer, and that was really sad. But then we find out something worse than cancer.
What could be worse than that?
Cleveland.
Andy's moving away. Also, I forgot to mention, Andy has 2 lesbian moms that we never see. It's like sort of progressive, but then you think like, oh, but we never see them. Interesting. Maybe I shouldn't say that. It's progressive for them to even be mentioned at all. Nate is interested in Amanda because he wants to one-up Kyle, so he gets close to her, and now Latnock is throwing this big party. And Kyle's using this party as an advantage to find out what's in Michael Cassidy's office because he wants to make sure that there's nothing devious in there so that way he can trust Latnock. So he goes into Michael's room and he finds a safe behind the desk, and in that safe is Sarah's Latnock ring, the red one. This means one of 2 things. He did something to Sarah, or he has Sarah, and Sarah didn't run away. So anyways, we thought she was just gone. We thought she just left. But actually, maybe Latnock has her, or maybe she's dead. Jessie goes into her mind palace and revisits the night that she met Michael Cassidy, the same night of prom. And it is revealed...
It's working. I see something.
Assuming that's Sarah's. We're very upset about all this. Kyle and Jesse are obviously going through the thick of it, trying to find stuff out about Sarah, and it leads to Kyle actually kissing Jesse, not as practice, but like out of a passionate moment. I think, based on my internet research, that a lot of people had shipped Kyle and Jesse, but I do not ship them. I ship Kyle and Amanda. I guess I'm team Kai-Manda. So Nate's a bad guy. He's trying to set up Kyle and Jesse for failure. Cassidy asks Nate, have you seen anyone in my office lately? And Nate's like, I think I've seen Jesse in your office. And this is because obviously Michael found out that the ring is gone. But Jesse and Kyle didn't steal the ring. Nate did. Okay, we're driving towards the end. These are the last 2 episodes of the show ever. So I really hope we find out what the hell's going on with this belly button. Cassidy finds out about the Hunter murder that Jesse did. Remember when she murdered some guy? Yeah, I mean, like, let's not forget about that. Like, I feel like we sort of breezed past that. She's a murderer. I know, like, they, like, reprogrammed her, so it's, like, not really her, but she still did that. But it wasn't her. So tricky. Very tricky. Okay, so they plan and they scheme and they invite Michael Cassidy to dinner, hoping to find out more or to suss out his vibe. And that's when Cassidy tells the rest of the family about Jesse killing the hunter.
Please, stop.
And you killed him.
He immediately uses this information that he's learned to get the one up. At the end of the dinner, Kyle's like, I wish this went better. We should meet at the Rack, the coffee spot, in 30 minutes. Cassidy's like, that's great. Cassidy goes to the coffee shop and Kyle's not there, but you know who is there? Jessie. Jessie's like really angry. She's like, I'm really powerful. I can kill you right now. You need to tell me what's going on. What happened to Sarah?
You don't want to accept that Sarah left. I had nothing to do with it.
She's about to kill him, like strangle his insides. And Kyle, in a last-minute defense, like whips her against the wall. Holy shit. They go around the bar to try and look at her, and she doesn't have a pulse. Kyle just killed Jesse. Cassidy's like, dude, we gotta get out of here. You know, it's just you and me now. It's you and me. We gotta get out of here. So they run out of there. And then Foss walks up to Jesse and is like, it's all going according to plan. What the hell's happening? They're apparently planning a trick on Cassidy. They're also planning a trick on us because they didn't tell us until this moment. So we really thought Jesse was dead. So she slowed her heart down, pretended to be dead. Now Cassidy and Kyle, to Cassidy's point of view, it seems like they're in on it together. Like they should trust each other, and Cassidy's going to use this as leverage for Latnock. So remember how in season 1, Kyle was a really bad liar? In the end of this episode, we get a great moment where Kyle's like, when it matters the most, I'm a great liar. I'm really good at it. And he lies to Cassidy about how he trusts him.
I hadn't had much experience lying, but when it was necessary, I knew. It turned out I was good at it.
Still kind of a bad lie, to be honest, but not bad. Let's take one quick breath. It's the finale. Oh my God, we finally made it. So now everything is going according to plan for this new plan that Jesse and Kyle and Foss have cooked up, because Cassidy seems like he has Kyle's trust. So because of that, Cassidy tells Kyle everything he needs to know. And here's the actual lore this should just be the only thing that I really say. Cassidy tells Kyle that they are starting up Adam Balin's experiment of making test tube babies. That's Latnock's plan, and that's why we need Kyle. What he left out, neglected to mention, and Kyle and Jesse found out on their own, is that they're not making new babies. They're making clones of Kyle. Kyle is obviously such a success, Latnock wants to just duplicate it, make a bunch of Kyles in the world. Can you imagine a lot of Kyles in the world? So Jesse invents a bacteria that will infect all of the Adam Balin fluid, if they can find where the fluid is. They find where the fluid is, they contaminate that stuff so it can't be used in these experiments. They kind of just want to blow up the whole thing. Who wants these experiments to keep going? Not me, not Kyle, not Jesse. No one wants it. They're playing God. That's why Kyle says they're playing God. So Kyle sneaks in, he contaminates the stuff. Mission success. Kyle goes home, and the Traegers aren't there. Michael Cassidy's there. Cassidy spoofed Kyle's phone and told them all go to the rack. So now it's just Michael and Kyle alone in the house. Kyle's about to use his abilities on him. He gets shot with an electricity gun. He has some just like a zapper. Kyle uppercuts him with a sick monologue.
The person I had been before would have never done this.
Season 3, Kyle's awesome. Kyle realized that one of the names in Adam Balin's journals is this woman, Grace, who's actually Cassidy's mother. Kyle has Cassidy by the neck, and Cassidy's like, I wouldn't do that.
Grace Kingsley, my mother.
What about her?
You know why? Because Grace isn't just my mother.
She's your mother too. I'm your brother.
And that's how the show ends. They leave it on such a cliffhanger. Turns out it got canceled because of like low ratings. But I don't know, I'm kind of eating this up. Like, what was going to happen next? And also, they didn't really take anything back. I just watched this whole show for nothing. This random person just lied to me. And said that they take it all back in the end, but they kind of don't. Kyle still doesn't have a belly button because he's a test tube baby. So what did I do all this for? What was that all about? God, I don't know. I don't know what they meant when they said that they take it all back. But I hope you guys had fun reliving the journey of Kyle XY with me. I had a lot of fun watching this. I had a lot of fun making this video. It took up 2 months of my life. I made this shirt, not for sale. I just made this shirt for me. I've been thinking about this ending all week as I'm editing the video. Thinking about what this person could have meant by they take it all back. Because in my eyes, I don't really think they did. I mean, there's a couple ways I think they could go about it, but I didn't know. So I had my friend reach out and find their Instagram, and I DM'd them. I said, hi, I'm the guy who did the Kyle XY pitch. What I didn't mention was I'm doing a bit of a deep dive for a YouTube video. I'm curious if you could elaborate on how they take it all back in the end. She replied, oh my god, like in the series finale, how that one guy was like, Kyle, I am your father. But then the show gets canceled, so we never really know what they mean by it. Well, he doesn't really say he's a father, he says he's the brother. But, I don't know, I mean, the ending could mean a couple things. Is Cassidy a clone? Is up for question. Was Grace involved in the DNA for the gestation chamber? Is it... What? Or if... It's, I don't know, there's so many questions. In my eyes, I think the most logical scenario in that case is that they are brothers through Grace, and Grace gave the DNA for the gestation chamber, but maybe Cassidy was like a normal born person. That's probably the thing that makes the most sense to me, in which case they are not taking anything back. But I guess anything is up for grabs when you leave it on such a cliffhanger. So at the beginning of this journey, I set out to answer the question, why no belly button? And I think we got that answer, but that answer was called into question. And if we can't definitively say the true answer to why he doesn't have a belly button, I think Josh put it best.
I liked you better as an alien.
Thank you for watching.